It says
I think you'll be fine. There, is it running now? Yeah.
All right.
Pretty sharp.
Hey, Jan.
Good to see you.
Good to see you
And
too.
good to see you, Spencer, too.
Good to see you, Earl.
Yes, indeed. This is some old friends of mine, Spencer Mobley from Raleigh, North Carolina, and Chris Sharp, who you call Asheville home, or
That's my hometown.
yeah,
Home's wherever my crap is.
yeah, wherever you hang your hat. So to
Yeah.
speak, yeah. Well, I know both these gentlemen for a long time, but we're not going to do too much talking right now. Why don't y'all kick off a good old Monroe number there?
Well, give it a shot.
Will you be loving another man? Will you be loving another man? When I return, will you be waiting? Or will you be loving another man? Now will you love me, little darling? When I'm in some other land, or before I'm out of sight, will you be loving another man? Will you be loving another man? Will you be loving another man? When I return, will you be waiting? Or will you be loving another man? Now don't be crying on my shoulder and telling me that love is grand. And before I'm out of sight, dear, will you be loving another man? Will you be loving another man? Will you be loving another man? When I return, will you be waiting? Or will you be loving another man? Will you be loving another man? Will you be loving another man? When I return, will you be waiting? Or will you be loving another man?
That was quite fine. Great. Where did you learn those old numbers from originally?
Oh, probably from a lot of old recordings.
Yeah,
Mountain Heart, Lonesome River Band, you know, all
that's
that.
right. Yeah.
That's I guess that would have been off of the Columbia sessions, right? The
Yeah.
46 and
That-
47
that's
with
probably as-
Monroe and Lester and all them.
Yeah, I believe somewhere they claim it's the first. I don't remember the order they recorded the numbers that first session, but that it might have been the first song that they recorded with Flatt and Scruggs, well, with Lester and Earl as Bluegrass boys, and so that's kind of easy to track back. I mean, bluegrass music is pretty new, relatively new.
Yeah, relatively, yeah.
You know, and so closely associated with Bill Monroe.
Absolutely. Got something you want to fiddle for us there, Jan? or-
No, sir, I think we're gonna let the two of you sing another duet, you know, I'm just gonna be playing a little bit here on the side.
Yeah, that kind of a bluesy number or something you want to sing there?
Yes,
Chris?
sir.
Let's see. Don't know.
You want to find
How
that?
about something like that? Well, that's not mine, but if I should wander back.
If I should wander back tonight. You kick that
How
out?
about a little?
For many years I've been a rolling stone, my darling. Like a gypsy, I have roamed from place to place. Fortune never came to me. How happy I would be just to look again upon your smiling face. Now if I should wander back tonight, would you be waiting? Would your eyes be filled with love's own tender light? Would your arms be empty, dear? Would you thrill if I were dear? Would you love me if I wandered back tonight? When budding flowers lend the fragrance in the springtime, I recall the roses quite around your door. Fancy then I hold astray, I seem to hear you say that you love me as you did in days ago. Now if I should wander back tonight, would you be waiting? Would your eyes be filled with love's own tender light? Would your heart be empty, dear? Would you thrill if I were near? Would you love me if I wandered back tonight? Last night I dreamed that you and I were back together. I held your hand so gently in my own. Heard you say we'd never part as I pressed you to my heart. Then I woke in tears to find myself alone. Now if I should wander back tonight, would you be waiting? Would your eyes be filled with love's own tender light? Would your arms be empty, dear? Would you thrill to find me near? Would you love me if I wandered back tonight?
All right,
Big fine.
indeed. So your grandfather played the fiddle.
Played the fiddle, the guitar, banjo, and steel guitar. I think he liked steel guitar better than any of the other ones.
Yeah. And he performed around western North Carolina, or was he?
Some around there. He was in Nashville for a while. He toured all around. He used to play with Benny Martin and Big Jeff. They were, I think they traded off the fiddle duties in that group.
Cool.
Yeah.
One day Benny would play, and next day my grandfather.
Wow.
So I got to know Benny because of the relationship he had with my grandfather.
Very cool.
First time I called him on the phone, and he remembered my grandfather a lot. That Benny wasn't very easy to get close to, and so I had that in, which
Yeah. Oh yeah.
was pretty fortunate.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember meeting you in probably 1986, and you were already big into the Benny Martin style.
Yeah, once I decided to play fiddle, 11 or 12 years old, then I studied my grandfather's playing a lot on these cassettes, which I found some of these cassettes the other day, and digitized a couple of them. But I was into that, and then I met, I played in a couple local bands around Asheville. Then I met up with George Buckner,
Oh yeah.
and George had an interesting way to teach you. I wanted to be in his band. I said, well, George, can I play in your band? He's like, well, you're not quite good enough yet. You need to practice more.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd say, take this record, and he gave me this record, Benny Martin. He said, take this. It was a 1953 radio show.
Oh yeah.
Take this and
That's a
and
tall
learn.
order.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Take this home and start learning the stuff on this record. So I'd go home and I'd work and work and work, and go back the next week. Well, I've learned all this stuff. Well, it's pretty good. Am I good enough to be in the band yet? You need to keep working on it. And I never realized I was in the band, right?
Yeah, you were always with them.
I was in the band.
Wherever I would see y'all, you were always with them.
It's good to have motivation, keeping you on your toes, I guess.
Yeah.
So what was the name of your band again?
That band was called the Tar Heel Bluegrass Boys.
So that was Greg Eubanks.
Greg Eubanks, Lawrence Dillingham, George Buckner, me, and
Nick
sometimes Nick Chandler.
Nick Chandler.
Nick Chandler was in the band full time, and then right around the time I joined, I think he got busy doing other things as well. So he was picking with us when he could.
Yeah.
And I say joined. I don't know when that moment happened.
Yeah.
I think it was sooner than I thought.
It assimilated into the brotherhood.
Well, as I grew older, it was clearly a really good technique to get somebody to continue working hard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hold the carrot out like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, do you wanna do something else?
Want to play another one?
Yeah. You remember the Watson Blues?
I might be able to get through it, yeah.
Chris, you remember?
We'll figure it out.
It's like.
We do, what was that other one?
Evening Prayer Blues.
Yeah, we could do that. Or,
But I'll be all right. If they're not too sideways, I should
It's-
be okay.
Yeah, it's a little sideways.
yeah, but both of them are a little sideways. I bet we got something a little more standard there. How about,
Why don't you do a little bit of the bluegrass twist?
how about the stomp or the special? We settle for that one. Key of D, and we'll just do bluegrass stomp.
Yeah. Okay, there's a little bit. I'm gonna just.
Hopefully this doesn't get too slick and professional for everybody watching at home. Our talk show here. All right.
Mighty fine playing there, Spencer. Tell you what.
Aside from the outstanding bad notes, we're
Oh,
we
those.
fit in a few there.
Yeah, well,
That's just
I
flavor.
take responsibility
There
for
you go.
those because the bad notes came out of the fiddle as usual. But I don't have any frets in this portion. But, Spencer, I've known Spencer forever since.
At least 4 or 5 years. I think.
When you were probably about.
Probably 24 or 25 years.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Yeah, I took lessons from you, I guess, for
The
probably about 2 years, 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah.
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 And I didn't really know what I was wanting to play. It was just
we
kind of
did
wanting to play
mostly
music.
guitar, I heard.
Yeah, more like early. I was into a lot of like
That's
early
right.
R&B stuff and early rock. You know, Chuck
The
Berry
big
and Buddy
bopper.
Holly and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
and really whatever
Even
was
back
on the
then, you
radio,
had
too.
even back in those days, you had like an encyclopedic knowledge of
Useless information.
the big bopper.
Random information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that kind of information comes in handy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting stuff for sure.
So, Chris, you ended up in Japan.
Yeah, at some point, ended up going over there. 2002, I think.
No.
I did, I had a pretty successful January that I knew was coming up, where I got to tour every single day with the Down from the Mountain thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right. I remember you doing
2002.
that with John Hartford.
Well, that was after John passed, so we
Oh.
did the original thing with John, and then they did a couple of tours, and,
Oh, yeah,
and I went
yeah,
on
yeah.
the very first tour, so that was already planned, and so I'd been wanting to go to Japan, and I thought, well, okay, I'm never gonna make this much money again playing music, as I'm gonna make on this tour, so I'm just gonna take 6 months and go to Japan. And that's what I did. I paid my bills for 6 months. Went over there. It's pretty interesting. I was renting the house that Larry Perkins used to live in, which belonged to Earl Scruggs.
Mhm.
So he was my landlord.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And now, so I went down to the people that handle his house. As well, I'm going to be gone for a while here, 6 months worth of rent.
Yeah. Wow.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Went over there and I met my wife. Actually, I didn't know her at that time. Met her for the first time at a jam session. She's a fiddler.
that's right. Sachi.
Yeah, at some point she'll probably listen to this. Make sure I mention that she's a fiddler.
Oh, I played with her several times. She knows a lot of the classic breaks.
Yeah,
You learned her well.
she knew that stuff when she met me.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. I spent a couple of stints in Japan too, and it's just fantastic place. There's some die-hard bluegrass fans there too, for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And she's got this uncanny ability to take a fiddle tune, and she's got some finale. It's note writing software, I think. And she can listen to the fiddle tune with headphones and work that software quickly enough to write the sheet music for whatever the fiddle's playing as she's listening.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I use it for writing music, you know.
Okay.
But I don't do it. I use the mouse, you know. I don't do it. Doesn't do the keyboard.
I'm not sure how she does. I know she'll listen to a song and then she's got the music.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know about you, but when I'm listening to music, if I want to know what key it's in, I'm listening for a mandolin and a fiddle, and then I'm listening for the open strings. That's how I figure out what key the song's in.
Yeah.
She doesn't need any of that. All she needs to hear is like a note, and then that's F.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
We got to get that context.
All right. Hey,
Hey, I
we're
just
live
didn't
on
wanna,
live here on Facebook. Come on in.
Got a special guest here.
Yeah.
well, and I'm not gonna be your special guest, but for a millisecond, cause I gotta head out.
Yeah. Okay.
Going to a car fetch,
Ah.
and I'm gonna be late anyway.
So safe travel.
Thank you. You guys enjoy. Tell the people some things.
So we've been telling them a lot of
All
stuff
sorts of stuff.
here at the Bluegrass.
We want to play another
Yeah,
one
yeah.
here, and I might get on down the road
Yeah.
in a little bit. Want to grace us with a fiddle number?
Well, we'll give it a shot here. Santa Walls? Remember that
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think I know that
Okay.
one good enough to do it.
one? No. Well, let's do,
Sounds like.
You know, when I worked with John, there
John
was
Hartford.
John Hartford. When I worked with him, you never knew what was coming. It was just key A.
Just be ready.
That's all you got was key of A.
Well, you know, playing with Kenny Baker and Josh Graves, that's a lot of information right there, because they would, Bill Baker did like,
At least he gave you
Yeah.
a key, I guess.
yeah, but not until you were on stage, you know.
Yeah.
I remember I played with them a few times, and I think we played together with them in
Yeah.
Todd, North Carolina.
I think we did.
When Baker gave me the hat, his hat, you know. So anyway,
Traveled with him a lot. You're right. Getting anything out of Baker was.
he was like, he would walk into a classroom full of students, you know, expecting to take a workshop and say, hey, what are we gonna do? Oh, well, we'll think something. And I said, we opened the door and said, Festival Waltz. Yeah,
We cut a record like that once.
yeah, you and Josh and,
Well, there was 2 records. We cut one with Josh, and then that was like on Monday and Wednesday, and then we cut one with Baker on like Tuesday and Thursday. It was interesting.
yeah,
Hugh Moore cut those records
that's right, Hugh,
Huh.
I'm sure.
Where'd you record those at?
in Nashville. I might have the dates confused, but it was literally like one day would be Josh, the next day would be Kenny, the next day was Josh, and the next day was Kenny. And they weren't on each other's records, but a couple of us played on all.
Yeah, yeah. You and
So I
Larry
played.
Perkins on
I don't think Larry's on there. Billy Rose played bass for Kenny's record. Ernie Sykes was on Josh's record.
there? Okay.
Crow and Hicks were on Josh's record. Aubrey Haney was on Baker.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to recall the whole thing.
Yeah, man,
It's been a while back,
Yeah.
but it was a lot of fun.
Right.
But it was similar. I mean, they had more of a plan than I'm letting on, but it was a lot of Baker going, oh my God, I don't know. How about this one?
Yeah. Well, let's see now.
Be a little, hey, Road to Columbus?
So,
common theme here tonight, today.
Well, you rehearsed to death. You do, let's do a Curly Cycle number.
Oh,
Or one of Curly,
Moonlight on my cabin.
yeah, that's a wonderful number.
we need to print the words out.
Spencer,
Unless you know
yeah,
Spencer.
Spencer.
No,
No.
I don't.
When there-
I don't think, is there, there's another Curly tune that's, I can't think of it.
I like that old sign up on the
You
dotted
took my
line.
sunshine. Yeah, that's a good one
You,
too.
yeah, oh yeah, you
Sign
took
on the
my
dotted line,
sunshine,
that's good.
that's a good one. You remember that one?
Nah.
You took my sunshine.
You got it, young. Come on.
Shine. Huh? Yeah, but that's a wonderful number.
We cut a couple of records with him. Me and George Buckner and
Yeah,
Kevin
that's-
Sluter.
That's right.
Larry Perkins produced those.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, maybe just a good old Flatt and Scruggs tune. I know we did Flash Wonder back tonight, but you got anything else?
Do you have you heard this tape of Arthur Smith and Earl Scruggs?
George has it.
Have you heard it?
Clyde was talking about it the other day.
Then it's a good tape.
Well, let's send the number out to Clyde Franklin.
All right. Well, let's do one off there. It's common one. Girl I Love Don't Pay Me No Mind.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Now, the way they did it was a little bit different, so
All right.
if I can remember, I hadn't been tainted by other versions. But girl I love don't pay me no mind. Girl I love don't pay me no mind. Sweetheart divine, put your little hand in mine. Girl I love don't pay me no
Stewart record that?
Did he?
He did have a cut on that. It had a real Benny kick to it, kind of just a.
He can play fiddle like nobody
Oh,
else.
man,
And then
yeah,
just
that-
turn
that
around and
bow
play
hand.
the banjo.
Yeah. I saw maybe in 04, 05 up in Salem, Virginia, they did a festival up there for a little while, like a minor league ballpark. And I don't know who was booking it, but it had to be a huge budget. It was everybody from, you remember that band Open Road that was out of Colorado on Rounder and like Old Crow Medicine show years ago, and then the headliners were like Skaggs and Dale Ann Bradley and Sierra Hull when she was young, and everybody, you know, in between. But it was Crow played, and I think Josh Williams was filling in on guitar, and Ron Stewart was playing fiddle. And then he took JD's banjo and played the whole next set with Kenny and Amanda. And that was pretty darn cool. Not realizing it as much as a 14 or 15-year-old, but I was like, man, that, yeah, he just picked up, you know, the Crow's banjo there and just ripped it. But it was a good intro to a powerful multi-instrumentalist, you know.
I remember reading an article in BU a long time ago about the then probably 10-year-old fiddling Ronnie Stewart.
Great player. Yeah, and I think on that record of his, I think he played a little bit of everything on it. I think played mandolin and bass and guitar, and then obviously banjo and fiddle.
Yeah.
Good musician.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
He's a good guy too.
yeah, did you? How did you end up with John Hartford?
So when George and I moved to Nashville in '94, yes, we started hanging out at Station Inn. We didn't know anybody, so that's what you do.
Good place to go.
That's what you did then. You hung out. I don't know what you do now. But we hung out at Station Inn, and we got in with the people that had these jam sessions. So we started going around to these different jam sessions, and John would show up at them. And so I got to know John that way. I'd met him a couple times before, but that's where I got to know him. And it was always interesting because John would sit right in front of you and he'd play his fiddle and he'd just stare at you the whole time, and it was really awkward. What are you staring at me for? But he wasn't even looking at you, and you didn't know it. He was like busy in his head playing fiddle, right?
Yeah.
But he's just sitting there like,
Yeah.
just like staring a hole right through you. It was really awkward. But so I used to actually dread seeing him because I knew he was going to sit in front of me and just stare. But anyway, that occurred, and we did these jams with him, and then both of us ended up moving back to Asheville for a while. And I moved, I decided, Josh called me, wanting me to go on some gig or something. So I decided, Josh Graves.
Yeah.
So I moved back down to Nashville again. And as soon as I got there, I knew I needed to do something. And at some point, John had mentioned, you know, why don't you come sit in with my group sometime? And so when I got there, the first thing I did was call Hartford. I was like, want to get together and maybe sit in with your band and see how that goes. Because I was fishing for a job, right? And so, well, we're going on tour. Why don't you call me in about 3 weeks? And it's like 3 weeks to the day I called him back. Well, we've just got back in. There's nothing going on for like another month, and then we're going to be playing at this Norris Festival in Norris, Tennessee, the Fall Homecoming Festival. He's like, can you come up there? I was like, sure. So I drove up there. Larry Perkins and I went in this old truck I had. No wonder it made it. And we drove all the way to Norris, and we got there at night, the night before he was supposed to have his show that I was going to sit in on. And we walked in this Golden Girls Corral. Have you ever heard of this? It's just like a buffet kind of thing.
Okay.
Like
Golden Corral?
Well, yeah, but this is called the Golden Girls. It was more of a local
localized version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they had these jam sessions in there. And so we walked in because somebody had told us, John's over here at this place jamming. So we walked in, and there's this jam going on, and here's John playing fiddle and Mike Compton sitting beside him playing mandolin. I was like, this is exactly what I was hoping. It couldn't be no better than this. So I sit down with my guitar, sit right beside John, and he lays into some fiddle tune or something, and Mike's playing and I'm playing, and John's right in the middle. And the song ends, and he's like, this is the sound I want. And he hired me right then. But he was real clear. He's like, you're not going to make a lot of money. But,
Yeah.
you know.
What else is new?
Yeah. So before I even did the set-in thing, I was already joined to that group,
Yeah.
which was completely different than the way George added me to his group, but it was still.
Yeah, I mean, you had some seasons.
Both good introductions,
Yeah.
just different ways. Yeah.
Yeah, you got hooked up with some, great. You can't ask for better.
How old were you then?
So I would have probably been 25 or 26.
Yeah, man, that's great learning ground for sure.
Yeah.
No kidding.
It was a lot of fun. I'd spent the time in Nashville before then doing electrical work, and then anytime I wasn't under a house pulling a wire, I had a guitar in my hand.
Yeah.
Working
Speaking
on
of guitar, so you used the old, I guess, let's see, Charlie Monroe used the same style, didn't
yeah, thumb pick.
he? And yeah. You used-
Those kind of guitar players generally use a single finger pick.
Yes.
I keep 2 on.
Yeah.
And when you're playing regular rhythm, you're utilizing both of the finger picks, or just
No, usually
thumbing
this
one?
one's just not doing anything.
Gotcha. Okay.
But if I need to do, or if I decide on, or
Yeah.
whatever I might need it for to grab a note, I like to go ahead and have it there.
Yeah.
Do you have something kind of in that style you could, or maybe just some finger picking, or even like a Scruggs type thing we could maybe do?
We could do 9-pound hammer,
Yeah, that'd be cool, like a Travis style or something.
or more just a cross picking kind of thing.
Awesome. Cool.
Cross picking without the cross picking.
Hey, even better.
What key?
It'd be in G's fine.
G.
Well, the 9-pound hammer is a little heavy. Ready for my side. Ready for my side. Oh, buddy, don't you roll so slow. How can I roll? I'm a-going on the mountain, gonna see my baby, but I ain't coming back. Oh, I ain't coming back. Oh, buddy, don't you roll so slow. How can I roll when the wheels won't go? Well, there ain't one hammer that's in this tunnel that'll ring like mine. That'll ring like mine. Oh, it rings like silver and it shines like gold. Oh, it rings like silver and it shines like gold. Now when I'm long gone, you can make my tombstone out of number 9 coal. Out of number 9 coal. Now roll on, buddy, don't you roll so slow. How can I roll when the wheels don't go? Well, the 9-pound hammer, it killed John Henry, but it won't kill me. No, it won't kill me. Roll on, buddy, don't you roll so slow. How can I roll when the wheels won't go?
Yeah, man. I like the sound of that cross picking with kind of the reinforcement of the metal picks behind it. It's got a cool sound.
Yeah, yeah. That's a stout. Is that kind of like Wayne Henderson plays it?
I'm not real sure. It's
I remember quite
it's
seeing
a
that, but
cross
that's pretty
picking
neat.
without the
Yeah, without the flat pick. Just
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
But it makes-
obviously I tried to slide some Tony Rice licks in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Sounds
you're doing the down, down, up pretty much.
Yeah, just
Yeah, that's neat.
a forward roll really.
Yeah, I like the way you come out of that 5 with some of those rice things
yeah,
at the
that
very
sounds
end.
really good. So, let's say there is then Lester Flatt and Carter Stanley. They're the ones talking about using one finger picking one.
Um,
How
yeah,
far- how
I'm
far
not sure how
back-
Clyde Moody did. I don't know if he used a single pick or just a thumb pick. Probably used both. I've not listened to him enough to know.
And there's some, modified versions with just the thumb pick and the finger, almost using it like a flat pick, which I think more like kind of Bob Paisley and Danny and some of that type of stuff as far as the flat pick and seems like that finger reinforcing. But I guess even Carter and Lester still had pretty distinctive styles from each other, still doing a flat pick and a finger pick. Seems like they still definitely had their own approach to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean Lester had his own thing going. It was definitely influenced by Clyde Moody, but nobody quite did what he did. There's been a post recently on one of the groups we follow where he's real clearly doing Lester Flatt style.
Mm.
And you can tell that because you can listen to the period pieces of the time, and Flatt's the only guy doing it. He's the only guy playing that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this happens, and yeah, it's.
How did he, Lester? Can you show how Lester played?
I can show you what I think he was doing.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think his basic thing, and I've got a whole bunch of videos on this. If
Yes.
anybody
Yeah, I've seen
has
some.
an interest.
They're
in
great
it.
resources.
Yes,
If you've not seen
absolutely.
them.
Very good stuff.
But and they go into a lot more detail. But I think the basic idea is just.
So a little bit of an upstroke on that after that.
Yeah, it's like a
Three.
so if you didn't use the finger at all, then it would just be. So when you add the finger in, then you get this. So then it becomes.
Yeah. Adds a different dimension to it from what you're starting with.
Yeah.
And from my perspective, I came from playing flat pick style, and I'd spent years trying to do what Tony's doing, and so coming from that, which that's impossible for me to capture what Tony Rice does. He's just amazing.
Yeah.
But coming from that into this, once I got the hang of this, how this worked, then it was much easier for me to play like higher tempo songs.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm getting to split the work up
Oh, sure.
between two different
Absolutely.
digits.
Instead of just playing the wrist.
Yeah, and so yeah, I'm not. There's no tension at all in my hand.
Yeah.
The whole hand is wide open.
Some of those live flat stroke shows, that's one of the most interesting things, watching Lester's hand, just playing at the speed, and it doesn't seem like he's really working himself to death by any means.
I
you
know,
know,
it
it's
looks,
just,
it looks so laid back.
looks effortless, which
Yeah.
obviously it's not, but
I mean, it's much simpler to me than using a flat pick.
yeah, for sure.
Just,
It makes-
just because
It
of that.
makes sense.
And so once I started out trying to do flat style with a flat pick, and then one day I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna try to do this with picks. It's really awkward, and it takes a while to when you're starting with nothing and you don't have any idea what's going on. It's hard because you got to get picks to fit right. The thumb pick, if it moves at all, game over, right?
Yeah, that's a good
That's
point.
why I often have to take it off while I'm playing because it's turning my thumb blue because it needs to be so tight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If it moves the slightest little bit, game over.
That's why I never really got into any kind of finger picks because I don't know what
it's hard to get them to hold just
yeah,
like
and
you
then
want to.
you have to be so tight, and then it's
But you can imagine, like, if you're going for a G, if that thing decides it's going to take off on you right as you're hitting that G string,
Yeah, be as bad as dropping your flat pick.
Yeah. yeah.
And then the other thing you want this thing to not move is because you're going up and down, and if it moved on you, then it might get caught up underneath the string.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I use this extended finger pick. So this is John Pierce. It's Lester used these, right? But he used the Stevens model, which they're not making them anymore. But these finger picks, they go up above your cuticle. A regular finger pick sits right on your cuticle. So it never happens to me now. In the beginning it did, where the finger would get hung up underneath the string. And when that happens and you're going about full speed, and it'll rip your cuticle apart.
Oh
but,
yeah, you can get your attention, man.
But you got this longer pick on, and it doesn't do that. It's still not pleasant, but it's not like you're not bleeding at the end.
Yeah.
Well, probably too much detail for you listeners, but
Hey, sometimes the
You
music's
know,
graphic,
there,
you know.
There is nothing pretty. There's nothing cute, pretty about bluegrass.
It's not for the faint of heart.
No.
I mean, a lot of this stuff, I watched a few of the videos, but we didn't have YouTube, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have that. Fortunately, I knew some people that had some Flatt and Scruggs videos, and you could go to their house and watch them.
Mark Pruitt.
Yeah, and I was in Nashville, so
Oh, yeah. Okay,
like
yeah.
Mike Armistead had some
Yeah.
videos,
Right,
and there
yeah.
were different people, and
Mhm.
you go to their house and be able to watch some of this stuff. But it wasn't like it is now, where you could just sit in the luxury of your house and,
Oh,
and
it's-
fire
you
up
just
Flatt
pull
and
it up
Scruggs
at your
videos.
Oh
ease, yeah.
God, yeah. I mean, it's just incredible. All the Clarence White stuff that's been sort of adding up to the, it's amazing. What
When I
a
was
discography or videography.
I can remember when YouTube was kind of just in its early days, and to find anything along those lines was, just mind-blowing. It felt like you really had discovered a treasure to find a band and maybe a few different songs from a set that you'd only ever heard on a recording,
Right.
But yeah, now it's amazing just how readily available pretty much any configuration for the most part, or at least any band you would
Yeah.
ever want to see at least once live, you really can.
Yeah.
So John, during the end of his life, was right when Amazon was starting to take off, and it was before any of these Spotify and YouTube hadn't really done much. It was like 2000, 2001. YouTube might have been a thing, but it certainly wasn't a thing where you go like you do now and see
Right.
Flatt and Scruggs videos. So what he would do, he loved Amazon because when he looked up a fiddle record on Amazon, they had it because their inventory was already better than anybody else's. And then they had the samples. So he
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
he would just sit there and he just loved it. He'd stay on Amazon all day long listening to these 30-second samples of fiddle tunes he hadn't heard before.
Huh.
And I thought about that the other day. I kind of hate it for him that he couldn't have stuck around long enough to see because if he was so interested in that because he loved the music so much, what would he think about the availability of material now?
Any and everything, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
I think younger people don't have the benefit of having grown up without it. I think that is a benefit that
I
we
think,
have.
oh yeah, absolutely.
So,
I mean, and growing up in Sweden, it's like hard to find. Yeah, I would, be really, if I got a hold of a record, I would read all the liner
Oh
notes,
yeah,
know who
probably
produced
consume
it.
it totally, yeah.
And it's that way. I mean, I learned a lot and about bluegrass music history back then.
well, when it's in an LP form or
Yeah,
then it's like, well, that's the third song on the second side,
I know.
and you end up knowing that.
Yeah.
And that's how you talk about songs. Well, it's the third song on the second side of this record. That's just not what's going on
Spencer,
now.
you don't remember that probably.
Really, when I was getting into it, it was just about the time YouTube was becoming kind of popular. I was probably 15 or 16 about the time YouTube was kind of in full force, or about the time you were starting to see some bluegrass stuff pop up on there. But as far as resources, for the most part, really was, I had a copy of the Scruggs book and the tape. I had tried to play a little banjo at one point, but I remember that being an interesting resource, just kind of having more just the notation of the book. So probably for the most part it was either just instructors or listening to CDs, but not with the vinyl, having the chance to go back and skip to get the break or anything like that.
Yeah.
You can ruin some records learning a break.
Oh, I bet,
You can
man.
look back
Cassette
there
tapes are
now.
bad enough. I can only imagine that.
Well, we used to tape the record to avoid destroying the record.
Oh, yeah.
That
You
makes
can
sense.
rewind the solo and
Even I used to love to sit and just put together these like favorite, well, it would be called a playlist today, I guess. So
Yeah,
you're on these,
mixtapes.
exactly. Crash Craddock.
I'm still, yeah, some of my favorite recordings are still on some tapes, you know, because I can remember even, you know, 5 or 6 years ago, like in Amelia, Virginia, and different bluegrass festivals, you could still find, you know, $5 for $10 cassette tapes. A lot of this stuff, some hadn't been reissued.
I noticed that when we were in Sweden, was it 2 years ago?
Mhm.
You bought, no, it wasn't. There was, but those cheap,
Yeah, I bought
records,
some
you know, country.
several CDs and some stuff like that, but some of it was some local things there, and then there were it was all the early '40s and late '30s recordings of Monroe, like all the stuff
Yeah.
with him and Clyde Davis, or not Clyde Davis,
It was in
but
some gas station.
Clyde Moody.
Clyde Moody.
I did buy like a rockabilly thing
That's
at a
right.
gas station.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was a good compilation. I think that was
Yeah.
about 5 in the morning. when
Yeah, we had started in Copenhagen and.
that was a long haul. Yeah.
That was a long
Oh, that might have been coming back from your hometown. I think when we slept for about 4 hours and then headed on down to the
Yeah.
southern part of Sweden.
It
That
was 34 degrees. It was in July.
it was
34.
pretty chilly for the summertime, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of good choices for music over there. You're right.
Yeah. You so you traveled extensively in Japan.
yeah, I've been all over Japan.
Yeah. Well,
Great country.
yeah. I spent most of my time around Shizuoka. You know where that is? It's
It's
yeah,
like south
Tokyo
of-
and Yokohama and Shizuoka, kind of going south.
yeah.
Where is Sachi from?
Sachi is from Kanagawa, so it's near Yokohama.
Yeah, it's not far from Shizuoka at all.
No, it's not too far. And I've just did a ton of traveling all over. I've been to all the major islands,
Yeah.
and I've been over most of Honshu, which is the big island,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
western and eastern, and it's weird because when you're there and you're in Tokyo, at least the way my inner compass works, I'm thinking Osaka south, right? Because if I look on a map, it looks south to me, but it's actually west.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But it feels like it's south.
It does. I don't
Just
know. I don't know why.
The
that
way
is.
the island, I guess, lies, does it just kind of
Yeah.
look like that?
Yeah.
But when you're in Tokyo, it feels really south
I
than
have spent
Osaka.
very little time in Tokyo.
Tokyo's got a much easier navigation setup if you're going to ride the trains by yourself.
Yeah.
I managed to do it from Haneda Airport to whatever the Shinkansen station was.
Oh, Shin Yokohama
Yeah, actually it was in
or Shin Tokyo.
Tokyo. Yeah.
Okay.
So that
Yeah,
was,
I mean, so that system, people probably don't care at all about this, but that system's laid out where it's pretty hard to get lost. Every one of the Tokyo lines is like some kind of a shape that goes around.
It's
So
gonna
they're
come
all
back
like
one way or another.
outer layers, so it's hard to get
Yeah.
lost. In Osaka, though, man, you can get really lost in Osaka.
yeah.
Everything just snakes around, and Hope Toshio watched this.
Oh yeah. We have some great friends in Japan. Yeah, for sure. Yes.
I've gotten lost on my way to his house, like I missed dinner by like 2 hours one day. Just took the wrong train, and like, well, you'd think, well, took the wrong train, just stop at the next station and turn around.
Not so much, yeah.
Not so much, yeah.
They're taking the wrong turn off the Jersey Turnpike.
It's like, oh, yep, how to navigate this. And in Osaka at that time, they didn't have Tokyo. Everything was Romanized, and the names were Romanized, and that if you didn't read Japanese, then you just.
Oh, I know. I
you couldn't
arrived
figure out
there
where you're going.
by myself as an 18-year-old in Tokyo. Like, okay, now I need to make it to Shizuoka. on
Well,
my
you
own.
match this symbol on the
Yeah,
wall to this
I mean,
symbol
it-
somewhere else. See if I
And
know
you know
where I'm
how it
going.
is with the English. You know, they can read and write, but it's hard to like ask for directions.
Right.
Hmm.
I got tied up in Korea like that. This guy gave me a card, and I had to leave Japan every 3 months. You can only stay 90 days, and then the visa dies. So I had to leave for like 24 hours and then re-enter the country, and then the visa would restart. So I went to Korea, and we'd met these Americans at Toshio Watanabe's Bluegrass Festival, the Takarazuka Bluegrass Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And the Americans that were teaching in Korea, And so he gave me his card, and we'd set up the whole thing through email, and I was going to go over there and stay. So I get off the airplane, and I'm trying to get on the right bus, and it's these Korean symbols. There's no Romanized words. And have you seen Korean?
Yeah.
It's like lines and circles.
Sure.
That's it. It's just literally line. And so I'm sitting here trying to match up the card with the right bus, and I thought I'd pulled it off, right? So I get on the bus, and I sat down. And people are getting on the bus with chickens. Like, I'm at the airport, and people have live chickens, and they're getting on this bus with these things. It was already bizarre. And so I'm sitting in this bus, and right as the bus starts taking off, there's this old guy sitting beside me. And I showed him the business card, and I pointed at the business card, and I'm trying to think of the name of this place, but he yelled out the name of the place, and I was like, yeah, that's where I want to go. I was like, yeah, and he's like, ha! No! He's like telling me, no, it's not it. It was terrifying because I was on the wrong bus, and to get off this airport, you've got to take this bridge. It's like several miles long, and you can't just be like, let me out.
Yeah.
That's right.
you're just, this is where you're going, wherever this bus is going. And so this guy, he's like, I'm going to help you. He found a way to communicate to me. He's like, me and you. He couldn't speak a word of English, and clearly I can't speak Korean.
No.
So he was like, me and you.
Yeah.
He kept pointing. I wish I could remember the name of this place, but it was, he kept pointing, me and you, and he'd point to the card.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is weird, but I'm limited on choices.
Yeah.
What can
I'm just
I
gonna
do?
go with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he ends up. We get off the bus, and he's unsure, and he's trying to take my guitar, and he's like, here. He's like, no, you're not getting my guitar, and I'll carry my stuff. And he wants to hold my hand, and I was like, no, you're not holding my hand either. No, this is really creepy.
Right.
And so he takes me underneath the street, and I didn't like that. So we're underneath, and it's dark, and there's
Three
nobody
good
there.
signs so far.
Yeah, and I'm like,
he's going well.
I'm gonna end up
You
in this
got
guy's
good
freaking soup
intuition.
pot, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I don't like this at all. And we keep walking underneath the street, and there's like literally nobody around us. And I'm just getting more and more terrified. And then we round the corner, and we're inside of a huge underground subway station with a ticket counter. And so he walks up to the ticket counter, and he clearly he's like motioning for me to stay put. And then, where am I going?
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of freaking Seoul, Korea. And so he goes up to the ticket thing, and then he pulls me in. We go up the stairs, and then he tells me to stay at the platform. This train is going to come. And he's gone for like 5 minutes. He finally comes back with an interpreter, so he found somebody that could speak English. And it turns out this guy was just like super nice, and he felt really happy that he could help me. And he bought my ticket to this place I was going, and he bought his own ticket so he could follow me up the stairs. And he found this person, and like turned out to be a really good experience
Yeah, that's
in
great.
the end of getting to meet, you know, a really nice human being
Yeah.
that didn't eat me.
Yeah, I mean, that's always a plus. You know, meet someone new and don't get eaten.
And
That's
not
good.
carnivorous.
Well, it was starting to look grim, you know.
Go on, yeah.
Yeah.
Creepy old guy and
Yeah.
whatever.
No cell phone. Yeah.
Well, the people had them, but
Oh, really?
yeah, that was in 2002.
Oh, okay.
I
I
didn't
was
have
thinking
one
earlier.
Korea. So
You need any powder?
no, I'm good. I almost saw the name of that place. Weijong Bu, I think is the name of
Okay,
it.
yeah, I have no idea.
I know it was haunting me in dreams for years. Not finding the
Yeah, I
place.
mean,
Do.
well, I tell you what.
Y'all getting powdered up here.
Yeah, and of course it's got, but you know, Bobby Hicks taught me this trick to you
Baby
know,
powder?
Yeah,
You get some of it on your bow and your fingerboard too?
not much on. Yeah, you know, one time we played down at the Memorial Auditorium in Raleigh for the Christmas Carol.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody, and I'm not gonna name anybody in particular, but somebody sprayed fast fret on my bow.
Good Lord.
I don't know who it really, well, I have my, I got my,
Just trying to help you out, huh?
yeah, so
Man.
you know, you got like,
Oh yeah, I bet that really bear down good.
yeah,
That's a neat trick.
that's pretty evil.
No, it's awful, but it's still a neat trick.
Yeah. that
Sorry it
is.
happened to you. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember Marvin Willis?
That name sounds awful for me.
fiddle maker in Morganton.
Yeah.
He told me he when he played in fiddle contests back in the old days, he had put some kind of like Brill cream or some pomade or something on the opponent's on the hair of the opponent's
It's
fiddle.
getting cut through it there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand the mentality of you're not good enough to win, so you start,
Well,
you start
yeah.
destroying the people that can.
He was.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's really a validating win.
Yeah, exactly. You really feel like you're like.
Yeah, knock four
deserved it.
people. Yeah.
He's a great guy. Maybe he's a storyteller. Maybe
Maybe a little tongue in cheek.
yeah. But that image is always kind of like it's pretty slick. It's not a little
About
Sing a song about the state of Kentucky there. The Bluegrass state.
Kentucky.
Not exactly one of the old numbers. Well, it's relatively old.
Which one is it?
I'm going back to Kentucky.
Oh,
There you go.
I don't really know that.
Yeah. But you're a fine singer.
Yeah, why don't you sing it?
I don't know the words on that one.
But you know a bunch of tunes.
We do is that one we were doing earlier? More Pretty Girls and Women.
Yeah.
Let's see.
C chord.
Can you give us a little kick on that gun?
Yeah. 2, 3.
Pretty girls and more pretty girls than one. Hey, old town that I ramble all around. There's more pretty girls than Little mama talked to me last night, and she gave me some good advice. She said, son, you better quit your rambling all around, and maybe you would why. There's more pretty girls and more pretty girls than one. Any old town that I ramble all around, there's more pretty girls than There you go.
All right.
return here shortly.
After I